And good morning, everyone. Happy Friday! Yay! Whatever. It's always Friday to me. My weekends just means that I get to spend time with more time with Debbie. So, I'm doing this video off the cuff. I just did a few minutes of note-taking, and I got a couple websites to go through. I'm just watching a walking stick that was on the deck here. I almost picked it up, thought it was a piece of the Palo Verde tree, but it started walking. So, anyway, got a new friend, hi, and they are taking blood thinners, but they already have thin blood. So I don't know if that's a doctor error or something. But the concern was, could they take hemp oil with the blood thinners? Paxil? No, not Paxil. It's inside. Anyway, yes, hemp or cannabis can thin the blood. Cannabinoids can do that. They're actually better than the pharmaceuticals, too. It's much, much safer. But you don't want to combine hemp oil, especially full doses, with a full dose of blood thinners, because it can put you at risk for an internal bleed out. And I've known of a few people that have gone through that. In fact, an ex-girlfriend of mine about 80 miles north of here, her husband died because her doctor had him on blood thinners, Coumadin, and he told him to take 30 aspirins a day. 30! That's over 6 grams of aspirin at 325 milligrams per aspirin. No, 9. It's almost 9 grams of aspirin. Well, she told me that one night he jumped out of bed, ran into the bathroom because he had to take a dump, and it was all blood. His intestines just had a major bleed out. And by the time they got him to the doctor or to the hospital, he only lasted another couple hours because he had major internal bleeds. They could not stop the bleeding because it was everywhere. They would have had to literally peel him open and repair every blood vessel that broke. So, she should have sued. I told her, you could be a millionaire right now. Because that doctor was wrong. To put him on Coumadin and then tell him to take half of a bottle of aspirin a day. It's just ridiculous. Well, anyway, now, I was going over this long list of all drugs that do interact with cannabis or hemp, cannabinoids. And it pretty much everything. I mean, they had NyQuil in there. Tylenol, aspirin, ibuprofen, Aleve, naproxen sodium, all those. They all interact with cannabis. And in the websites I've got saved on my phone, I just breezed through them, but it basically says that it can potentiate the effects of some medications and add to it, like extra blood thinning if you're taking blood thinners and hemp or cannabis, or it can undo what the drug is doing and work the opposite, which can actually be beneficial if you're taking some drugs that are really messing you up. Smoke a little bit of herb and you start feeling better. Why? Because the cannabis is fighting that drug off. And me, yes, I'm on pharmaceuticals. I have my morphine, Seroquel, amitriptyline, and Valium. Very long-term use of these drugs, morphine sulfate and all that. They've been around for a long time. They're not these new classes of citalopram, Humira, and all these new drugs, just all these new drugs that are coming out. Well, they have a list of like 600 drugs, but they're all like NyQuil. There's a whole long list of just NyQuils, all the different combinations of NyQuils, Pediasure, Pedialyte, all of those they say has interactions with cannabis. It's called drugs.com. Go to drugs.com and search for marijuana and pharmaceuticals, and it'll give you the entire list. There's over 1,000 or a couple thousand if you include brand names and generics. The people that, like I get my quetiapine as quetiapine. Seroquel is a brand name. Quetiapine is the drug name. But I get quetiapine. I still call it Seroquel because that was what I was originally taking from the psych meds. But I'm taking the quetiapine version from my doctor now. But they all have interactions. For me, cannabis potentiates the action of all of my medications. It adds to. So, pain-killing properties that morphine gives me, cannabis adds to it. It gives me more pain-killing. Like I've said, it drops me 1 to 2 numbers on the pain scale, which is good. And hemp oil, I think, has dropped me another point to a point and a half, which is awesome. So cannabis and hemp oil and my drugs, because I don't consider cannabis a drug. It's a plant, it's a vegetable, simple hydrocarbons that our bodies need, that are, I'm getting lost. It's a very painful day for me today. I woke up 3 times last night, and at like 3 o'clock this morning, I woke up, and I just barely sat up, and Sonny the cat started, wow, 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 I want breakfast, feed me, yeah. He's very loud and obnoxious, and Debbie comes out and says, would you please just feed him? I said, at 3:30 in the morning? She goes, yeah, just feed him. He's waking me up. So I fed him. He yowled for another 30 seconds or so after he ate, and I shut the lights off and laid down, fell back asleep for another hour and a half. Basically, though, I just kept waking up, and I'm like weak and shaky. My entire body feels like it's shaking apart, just quivering. All my muscles are weak. A lot of it is coming from my neck, because I've got these discs that have been slipped out for a couple weeks, and moving my neck around and stuff hurts. So I want to go inside and go over just some of the basic medications, generics usually, generic names, of things that can interact with cannabis. And then I've got a few websites that tell you why and how they interact, and how they either potentiate the actions or stop the actions of the drug. Like cannabis adds to my morphine, adds to the pain-killing properties. Where some other drugs, it totally undoes what the other drug does, which can actually be a boon sometimes if the other drug is really making you sick and cannabis helps you out. Sign my petition. Sign and share. Signandshare.org. Everybody has, I've been flooding social media, and they tell me on the petition site to keep promoting it. Keep promoting it. So I'm constantly resharing the link so it stays at the top of the page on all of my groups. And in fact, I have to go back to Twitter, Instagram, and Google Plus and redo them there today, just to make sure everybody sees them. But I've got like 15 to 18 outlets on social media that I can go through. That's including all my Facebook pages of mine, and a few Facebook pages that I can share pot to that are, like Worldwide Stoners and some other groups. CBD Hemp Save Me, Tracy's group. I don't share much there. Not even the strain of the day, because that's a hemp group. I don't share my cannabis strain of the day on a hemp group. because it's not there. But my poems and stuff about medical marijuana and hemp and stuff like that, I share over there. So, I'm going to pause this, go inside, have some, just finish my coffee. I need to get something else to drink, and then I will go over this list of medications that are affected by cannabis, and and I'll give you my opinion, okay? Because when it comes to my opinion, I will say I wouldn't do this, but don't take that as gospel. I am not a medical professional. I have a lot of medical background and training, but I'm not a doctor. So, whatever I say, do not take it as something that you should do. Always talk to your healthcare team. Unless you're totally in a legal state where you can legally medicate recreationally, but use it as medical for your health. And you don't need all these pharmaceuticals, because cannabis works like these pharmaceuticals. It's true. All these cannabinoids, they do what aspirin does. Safer. Like I've said, it's safer than aspirin. It's safer than it's safer than most of your groceries. Serious. I mean, your groceries can cause bleeding problems, thin blood, and stuff like that, depending on what you eat. I highly recommend the anti-inflammatory diet. It goes really good with cannabis. It really helps me. It's helped me control my pain. Not drop me lower numbers, but it drops me faster. So it's helping me get pain-free quicker. Well, I'm not pain-free. I'm always halfway up the level, I've told you. But it's early today. What time is it? 7:35 a.m. here in Arizona. I'm going to go inside. I've got a list of stuff in my notebook, and then I've got 3 or 4 websites on my phone that talk about how cannabis works with other medications. So, see you inside in just a heartbeat. Okay, here we are again. You have to excuse me. I need to start medicating. I haven't started yet. I took my morphines this morning. In fact, I took my morphine at 3:30 this morning. And that helped me get back to sleep for the hour and a half. But ever since then, I've woke up feeling just like shit. So, I will be medicating because it helps me. So, this is video number 114. And I just keep going on and on and on and on and on. So, cannabis and hemp do interact with pharmaceuticals. Now, everything I could find on what pharmaceuticals we need to watch for when using cannabis or hemp oil. There's a total of 591 drugs, 4,174 brand and generic names. So there you go. That's a long ass list. But I mean, everything was like Pedialyte with this, Pedialyte with that, so a lot of things are just repeating. So I've got major brands, brand name, and generic names here. I'll start right off at the top. Acetaminophen, aspirin, caffeine, buprenorphine, painkiller, Darvon, levomethadil. If you take these, you know what they are. If you don't, keep going back and hearing it until you look it up. You look it up, you find out what you need to know about it. Especially if it is a medication that you're currently prescribed. And as we get legal throughout the states, we can get our doctors to prescribe us cannabis instead of these pharmaceutical poisons. Because like I said, it never kills anybody. And even drug interactions, the drugs are most always to blame, even if cannabis is found in the system. Pharmaceuticals are very, very bad, especially these new brands of biologics and shit that they're just making up. So anyway, buprenorphine, Darvon, levomir, levomethadil, naloxone, diphenhydramine, pseudoephedrine, dextromethorphan, guaifenesin. All those are for coughs and sinus problems, you know. Hydrocodone, chlorpheniramine, Abilify, fentanyl, hyoscyamine, codeine, butalbital, Plavix and other blood thinners, Advil, ibuprofen, Aleve, Alka-Seltzer with diphenhydramine, Ambien, amitriptyline, what I'm taking, amitriptyline, Seroquel, morphine. They all say it, but cannabis potentiates all of those drugs for me. It adds to what they do. You know, but Ambien, amitriptyline, all the barbitals, phenobarbital, secobarbital, amobarbital. Okay, ephedrine, very simple bronchodilator. Atropine, all the morphines, amomorphine, belladonna, most all allergy medications because they contain chlorpheniramine, diphenhydramine, pseudoephedrine, dextromethorphan. Effexor, escitalopram, ethanol, fluoxetine, Haldol, Halcyon, Halatapam, all diazepines, benzodiazepines, diazepam, Valium. Humira, one of the newer drugs that has come out. Hydro, oxy, and methocodones. Haloperidol, duloxetine, clonidine, baclofen, ketamine, very powerful tranquilizer. Lamictal, tramadol, never worked on me. Latuda, levorphanol, Lexapro, lithium, Lunesta, for sleeping at night, Lyrica, and this one got me, Marinol. Yes, that's Big Pharma's answer to a THC pill. They synthesize THC for pain and nausea and vomiting. That's all it does. And as far as I'm concerned, what Marinol does, if you take in more cannabinoids, all you're doing is you're potentiating the effects of that. Plus, you're getting more because the Big Pharma just synthesized THC and only works on pain and nausea for chemotherapy patients. So, lithium, Lunesta, Lyrica, Marinol, okay, meprobamate, mephenterine, mephobarbital, methadone, ladies, Midol. I don't know what the interaction is. You need to look that up yourself because all these have different interactions with cannabis or hemp. But they do have interactions. So Midol for the time of the month. Nabilone, naloxone, Nembutal, pentobarbital, clonidine, as well as Klonopin, Nolahist, Nolamine, those are antihistamines, Norflex, Norpramin, Norgesic, Nortriptyline, Desipramine, Nucynta, Oxymorphone, Medical Opium, Orphenadrine, Oxazepam, Paraflex, Paraffin Fortes, Paraldehyde, Paxil, Pentothal, Percocet, Percodan, Pheniramine, Phenobarbital, in the barbitals, Pregabalin, Prestique, Propofol, Protriptyline, Quetiapine / Seroquel, Reglan, Remifentanil, there we go, Risperidol, phenylephrine, pyrilamine, fluoxetine. That's why I stopped. Because now I go to my phone, get off the cord, Let me go back to, there I was. This is cbdoilreview.org. And it's CBD and the cytochrome P450 enzyme system. Now, this says research has clearly shown that cannabidiol, or CBD, has the potential to effectively treat many different ailments by manipulating the ECS with very few unintended effects. However, some of cannabidiol's side effects can be dangerous if they're not properly understood. One such effect is the inhibition of the cytochrome P450 enzyme system, which is what? This is an enzyme system within the liver that is responsible for metabolizing 90% of the drugs that we consume. According to Davis's Drug Guide, this system contains more than 50 enzymes that process and eliminate toxins. Toxins, drugs. Morphine is a toxin. Anything that can kill you is a toxin. It says here, why does it matter? In order to determine appropriate dosages of medications, doctors make calculations using the average amount of time it takes for various drugs to be processed by this system. If only one drug is being processed and the system is generally healthy, these averages are usually correct. However, certain drugs have the ability to affect the processing times within the cytochrome P450 system, thus making other drugs metabolize either faster or slower than they would have on their own. Similarly, if the system is unhealthy because of liver problems or other pre-existing conditions, drugs may not metabolize as they should. So, cannabidiol in the cytochrome P450 system. It can inhibit the cytochrome P450 ability to metabolize certain drugs, which leads to an overall increase in processing times. And this leads to higher levels of the drug in your system at one time, which can cause unwanted side effects and even overdose. Thus, if you're taking a drug affected by cannabidiol, you may need a dosage adjustment in order to take both drugs safely. And like I said, me and my doctor, we hit the perfect combination of medications for me. My body, my liver is healthy. I told you, I kicked hep C's ass. I kicked it out. Rick Simpson oil. So, drugs that interact with cannabidiol. It's basically any drug metabolized by the P450 enzymes could potentially interact with cannabidiol. Now, according to the Indiana University Department of Medicine, drugs known to use the system include steroids, HMG-CoA reductase inhibitors, calcium channel blockers, antihistamines, prokinetics, HIV antivirals, immune modulators, benzodiazepines, antiarrhythmics, antibiotics, anesthetics, antipsychotics, antidepressants, antiepileptics, beta blockers, PPIs, NSAIDs, angiotensin II blockers, oral hypoglycemic agents, and sulfonylureas. Now keep in mind, this list does not necessarily contain every medication that could be affected by cannabidiol. Likewise, not every medication in each of the categories listed will cause an interaction. For this reason, you should consult with a medical professional before taking any combination of drugs at the same time, as alternative medications or dosage adjustments may be required. And if you're worried that your 450 enzyme system may not be functioning properly, physicians can test the system to ensure that the medications you take are metabolizing as expected. That was one website. What's the next one? Dun, 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 dun. Delete that one. Let's see what this one now. They're all different. This one is solcbd.com. Load. There you go. This one here says what pharmaceuticals can interfere with CBD. Serious drug interactions have not been seen with CBD in combination with any other drug. However, CBD and other cannabinoids can potentially interact with the pharmaceuticals by inhibiting the cytochrome P450. It says here, cyto P, who, what, huh? And it says things are about to get geeky, but please stick with me. It's important and you want to read on. This enzyme group metabolizes the drugs, including more than 60% of marketed meds. When it's metabolized and broken down by the body uses it or gets rid of it. This can also involve breaking down a compound into a more basic molecule that the body then uses. So, now we understand this enzyme does, let's explore its interaction with CBD. At sufficient dosages, CBD will temporarily deactivate cytochrome P450 enzymes, thereby altering how we metabolize a wide range of compounds, including THC, which causes the high. As I've said before in my videos, CBD counteracts the high. Higher CBD strains, the less buzz you feel. So CBD and THC go like that. Indicas, high THC. Sativas, high CBD. Less buzz. Hemp oil, no buzz. Just CBD and other cannabinoids, but not THC. So, by inhibiting the enzyme, the metabolism of the drug is reduced, which increases the effects of the prescription drug you're taking. Because your body can't metabolize at a normal rate, over time this drug will accumulate in your body. Imagine this enzyme as a trash compactor, and if the speed of the trash compactor is slowed or turned off, then the trash will accumulate. So, the bottom line, CBD will allow you to reduce pharmaceutical drugs intake that are metabolized by P450. And after another consideration is taking CBD with an inducer for the P450 enzyme like carbamazepines, rifampicin, alcohol, phenytoin, griseofulvin, phenobarbital, and sulfonylureas. The anticonvulsant potency of phenytoin was significantly increased when combined with phenobarbital, CBD, and phenobarb plus CBD. Additionally, CBD reliably reduced the anticonvulsant properties or potencies of chlordiazepoxide and clonazepam, trimethadione, and ethosuximine. And these data indicate that CBD is an effective anticonvulsant with a specificity more comparable to drugs clinically effective in major than minor seizures. Furthermore, it appears that CBD enhances the anticonvulsant effects of the former and reduces the effects of the latter types of the anti-epileptic drugs. And it says if you're taking any prescription meds listed, we strongly advise you consult with a medical professional. And they have more further reading, which I don't need to do. I just need to put my next link up in here. I'll take this one off. This one is cannabis.info. Come on. You can do it. So, patients being treated for certain conditions should be mindful of the interactions between cannabis and the pharmaceuticals taken for their pathology. And basically it goes over and can add to or weaken the drug's effects on you. The vast majority of patients can tolerate the combined effects between medical cannabis and pharmaceutical scripts. Occasionally, cannabis can cause minor side effects, while sometimes these combined effects have to be taken more seriously. Cannabis alone has never caused death, and very few cases are reported of major diseases from acute cannabis use. Despite that, combining different drugs or substances can have unpredictable effects on any kind of patient. Like the tranquilizing effect adds up. Cannabis's natural compounds add up their action on our nervous system to the one of many pain medications, resulting in a strengthening of these substances' effects. This strong interaction is not completely predictable in its display. As an example, patients need to be cautious about the additive effect of cannabis and opiates pain medications, which can amplify the depression of our central nervous system. Since CNS controls heart rate and respiration, a depressive effect can lead to death. Despite this adverse interaction, cannabis can help patients with chronic pain, reducing their opiate use. Now, it adds its effect to sedative drugs such as sleeping pills in the class of cyclopyrrolones or Z drugs, or other tranquilizers like Valium. All these chemicals compounds increase the activity of GABA neurotransmitters in the nervous system, resulting in a calming effect. Antihistamines used in the treatment of allergy-related symptoms like sneezing and runny nose can interact with the cannabis phytocomplex also. Drugs containing loratadine, fexofenadine, diphenhydramine, or similar antihistamine compounds can cause drowsiness as a side effect. When combined with cannabis, this adverse effect becomes potentiated. Tachycardia, fast heart rate, is another possible side effect of mixing antihistamines with cannabis. Now, diabetes and blood sugar level control. Our ECS plays a role in blood sugar level regulation. In cannabis experts, its effect on our endocannabinoid receptors, it can interact with drugs related to blood sugar control. Metformin is an active principle used to help controlling blood sugars in the treatment of diabetes. Cannabis has been shown to decrease the effectiveness of this drug. Therefore, diabetic patients treated with metformin should be cautious. The effect of lowering blood sugar provided by these kinds of medicines is contrasted by cannabinoids. Thus, checking your blood sugar levels while taking cannabis together with metformin or other drugs is mandatory. Risks related to blood pressure variation. Hypertension or high blood pressure is treated with antihypertensives, which effect might be reduced by the simultaneous assumption of some cannabis strains. Cannabinoid compounds can temporarily increase blood pressure, especially the ones found in sativa-dominant strains. Checking your blood pressure while consuming cannabis might be a good idea for patients under any kind of hypertensive treatments. Now, when cannabinoids are combined with stimulants, some patients experience tachycardia as an immediate side effect. This is the drug being potentiated by the cannabinoids. Cannabinoids by themselves do not affect your heart rate, but the cannabinoid affects the drug that affects your heart rate. You see what I mean? So, patients taking medicines for any kind of cardiovascular symptoms should always monitor their body's reaction to cannabinoids. This includes any different strain or cannabis derivatives such as oils, resins, and a patient might want to experiment with. Cannabis is shown to increase the metabolization of drugs similar to caffeine, such as theophyllenes. These drugs are often used in the treatment of asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary, which I cured. COPD, chronic bronchitis, asthma, gone. And my emphysema is going away because I feel lighter and lighter in my lungs every day that I smoke. It's noticeable. Now, where did I leave off? The well-known mix of cannabis with stimulants such as amphetamines, cocaine, caffeine can cause tachycardia, palpitations, or hypertension. So if you're doing meth, don't do cannabis at the same time. Meth is bad anyway, and amphetamines are just nasty. I don't like them. But cocaine, caffeine, those can cause the palpitations, hypertension. Vaporization, use of oils and edibles, indica strains, prevents these side effects. Helping mental issues. Many patients suffering from psychological and psychiatric conditions use antidepressants or other drugs that inhibit the uptake of serotonin and noradrenaline Drugs like amitriptyline, got some, amoxapine, and desipyramine are often prescribed for anxiety, OCD, attention deficit disorder, hyperactivity, and for neuropathic pain, fibromyalgia, and menopausal symptoms. These drugs show a clearly potentiated effect of drowsiness and sedation when combined with the active principles of the cannabis plant. Some of these drugs have a stimulant action causing side effects with symptoms of hypertension and tachycardia when combined with cannabis. Research is starting to admit that anecdotal evidence credibility about the efficacy of cannabis for treating depression, bipolar, and other conditions of mental disease. And positive results are being achieved both with cannabinoids alone or combined with traditional pharmaceutical treatments. And finally, since alcohol has potentially dangerous depressant effects on our CNS, caution should be used when consumed in combination with cannabis. Even with moderate quantities, these effects are amplified and can be unpredictable. Back in the day, we called it multiplying. If you're smoking weed, don't drink. If you're drinking a lot, don't smoke. Because when you get too drunk, your sense of balance goes off. Your semicircular canals in your ears that's what makes you tipsy, and walking's funny. When you take cannabis, you're multiplying the effects of the alcohol. And even if you didn't drink, say you can drink a 12-pack. Now, if you get to a 6 of your 12-pack and smoke weed, you'll barf. Whereas if you drank the whole 12-pack without cannabis, you're fine. You see how that works? Multiplying is not good. You have to be careful on what you add to your body. I'm going to get off that. I'm going to show you something here. I have this thing called Samsung Health right there. This thing comes up. It tracks my sleep. I track my sleep. It measures your stress level. You put in your blood pressure. I had, how many cups of coffee I've had, my weight. And I have this other app that goes with it called iCare Health Monitor. And this actually checks your blood pressure. What you do is you put your finger back over here on the light and tap the quick check. Put your finger there. Now you'll be able to watch this upside down. Oh, come on. There we go. See how it's starting to read? What it's doing is it's picking up my finger and my thumb and calculating my blood pressure, blood viscosity, specific oxygen level, and regular heart rate. That's what all those 5 circles are for. And I just sit here and wait until they're full. You see it just keeps going round and round. Ding! There we go. My blood pressure is 161 over 103. Now, I double check that with my little wrist one. Stick with me. Get down there. Get down there. You can hear it running. So let's see how close I am to the 161 over 103. I'll always double check with both of these before I take something as sooth. But this S8, the Galaxy S8, is the first phone I've seen that can measure your blood pressure. And it measures stress level, 161 over 103, 112 over 84. I think what it was doing is because I was trying to hold the phone up so you could see it. I think that's what made it different and made it go up higher. Because I don't feel like I'm at 122. No, I'm not. I'm at like 80 beats per minute here. But if you hold this normally, if you look at it, it gives you heart rate, blood viscosity. It calculates emotion, specific oxygen, and it gives me a pulse wave here. And on the health app here, all I have to do is I click on my blood pressure and I can put in whatever my numbers are. And I can it puts in heart rate, and then it says, medication. Medication, oh. Hit there, and it says taken or none. So I keep track of everything every day. When I wake up in the mornings, once or twice in the afternoon, and before I go to bed. And usually after I've taken like my morphine, I wait about 30 to 40 minutes, check my blood pressure and see how it works. And usually my blood pressure will go down. That's also an indication that my pain level goes down, which I feel. So I thought that was really neat. The Samsung S8s, they call it shatterproof, but I have a crack that runs all the way here like this. I don't know if you can see it no, you can't see it. But the screen's cracked. And they show you on TV, they drop the S8 and it bounces off the floor and it doesn't break your screen. Why did my screen break? So anyway, this is a really quick one about, what do you want? Hold on, the dog's got to go out, I think. Yeah, good girl. What are you doing? Go pee-pee. Yes, you're a good girl. Oh my God. So I'm hurting. It's time for me to start medicating more than just my candy. But like I said, I got barely 3 hours of sleep total last night. And like I said, I'm all shaky and quivery, and see if I can get something to eat, hold it down. So, drugs do interact with cannabis, or cannabis interacts with drugs. So, always be careful. Google. Simple. I found this with a simple Google search. I found all these pages, all these links that talk about, the P450 liver enzyme for metabolizing everything. It's all out there for you to see. I'm just helping you out by giving you some basic information, lists of drugs, lists of diseases. And remember that over 250 known diseases with 2,000 to 3,000 varying symptoms of effects on our bodies of these diseases and disorders and syndromes are just better served with cannabis. So that's why I'm putting out this petition constantly on everything for at least a week. I'm going to just keep promoting it, keep it at the top of my level of all my pages. Because the Marijuana Justice Act will allow us to self-medicate with or without a doctor's permission. If you're in a legal state and you tell your doctor, I don't want Plavix, I want to use hemp oil because it helps thin the blood. Because also at the same time, Plavix harms the liver and the gallbladder and the pancreas. Cannabinoids do not. They help those organs. So, pharmaceuticals have negative effects on your body. And if the cannabis potentiates the effects of that drug, you're better off with cannabis and get rid of the drug. Well, like I told this person, I said, try cutting your blood thinners in half and taking half or less than half of the hemp oil and see how that works. And they already have thin blood to begin with. And I'm not sure why the doctors got them on blood thinners. So I don't believe in all these pharmaceuticals. I believe in what I'm taking because they're long-term. Things like Lyrica, Humira, these new classes of drugs, escitalopram, tramadol, they're just they're accidents, is what I look at it as, because these names are made up. The generic names of these things, like decipramine. What the hell is that? I didn't write down what the brand name is, but phenyramine, decipramine, protriptyline, Risperdal, phenylephrine, pyrilamine, fluoxetine. These things are lab accidents. They put things together and they start experimenting on animals to see what they do. And they go, well, it does this. Then they go to human trials and get FDA approved. But the FDA approves these drugs as safe for human consumption with a low potential of abuse. Yet cannabis is a Schedule I narcotic as having no medicinal value and a high degree of abuse. And like I've said already, you can't abuse marijuana. The only way you can abuse marijuana is if you put it in a fire and light it on fire and don't smoke it. That's the only thing bad about cannabis. Don't burn it unless you're going to smoke it. And with these pharmaceuticals, I would stick with cannabis and hemp. If you can get hemp oil through Tracy, get it. If hemp oil, if it's not legal in your state, you can still get it through the mail from Tracy. All 50 states, you can buy this and have it shipped to you. And they don't have drug sniffer dogs going through all the mail, because there's millions of things going across the mail every day. Millions and millions of things. So they can't have dogs checking all the mail. And besides, her products are less than 0.03% THC. Dogs wouldn't get a hit on it. But I am of the mind cannabis and hemp are so much better than all these big pharma poisons. And right here, just all these things can have the possibility of negative reactions on your body when you use cannabis, which is the single safest plant-based medicine we could have ever we couldn't invent cannabis. Mother Nature or God put it here, and it works. It has medicinal value. And that's where the Marijuana Justice Act is trying to unschedule it from the narcotics. Cannabis and hemp don't belong on the Controlled Substances Act at all. They are not a drug. They have a very, very potent profound medical effects on our bodies. All positive. Oh, woodpecker, damn it. All these things cannabinoids have a profound effect on our health. As far as pharmaceuticals, what I'm taking works. And the doctor and I stumbled on it, really, basically. But I'm happy with it. I'm doing the best I can. I never drop below a 3. That's my floor. And that's with smoking a lot and taking an extra morphine here and there. It's the only way I can get down to a 3. And I never feel the euphoria. But cannabis potentiates the effects of the morphine and helps me kill some more of my pain. It never brings me to a 0. I would need a lot of morphine for that. I'd have to take 2 more 30s a day at least, probably, to get that low. And I still wouldn't risk overdose. Because, like I say, if I don't hit the euphoria stage at pain level 0, the morphine is gone by the time it gets here. That's it. The morphine's all used up. My 450 enzymes have cleaned it out of my system. over and done with. Cannabinoids stay in my system longer because they do more and more better things to the body as a whole, the entire organism, not just one organ system, liver and blood, heart and lungs and air. The entire body is affected by cannabinoids. And like I said, our body grabs these cannabinoids as they go through our system and says, I need CBC, I need CBG, I need CBD, or I need THC, or I need THCA or THCV. Our bodies know what they need. Cannabis has been proven to be just what our bodies need. Notwithstanding the fact that we have the endocannabinoid system and we ourselves produce cannabinoids in response to the disease process in our bodies, from a cold to cancer. Anything like that can be treated with cannabis. So I'm pushing this Marijuana Justice Act because Senator Booker has it right. Getting people out of jail that are serving bullshit 2 to 5 year sentences for less than an ounce of weed. Okay? Personal stashes can put you in jail for 2 to 5 years. If it's a third strike, you can do 20 years. And it's all bullshit. It shouldn't be happening. The pharmaceuticals, FDA, DEA, AMA, and the pharmaceutical industry are all working against cannabis. Why? Because, as I just said, cannabis does what all these things do as it's needed. And as you take in these cannabinoids all at once, your CBD, CBG, CBC, THC, all going in your body at once, your body takes it and wherever it needs it and cures the organism as a whole with just one medication. It's the like the meme that I shared out before that says 10 medications for one problem or one medication for 10 problems. Cannabis is that one medication that takes care of all the problems. We need legal cannabis and hemp. Hemp is a green crop. You grow it outdoors. You don't need grow lights. You've got the sun. Arizona here is perfect for 3 crops a year. The only thing that'll kill it is if we get a really bad frost. But we can usually see those coming. They can warn us up to 3 to 4 days in advance to major cold fronts that might have a freeze warning. And they give us plenty of time to warn it. So if you've got hemp crops and you're going to get a freeze warning, water them. Because when you fresh water an outdoor plant, that helps keep it from freezing. So we could technically get 3 crops a year out of Arizona alone. And probably New Mexico, Nevada. Okay, the Sonoran Desert is perfect for growing hemp. And our governor screwed the pooch by saying the farmers couldn't farm hemp here. Well, as I've said, hemp oil, hemp seed, they're foods and medicines, not drugs. Drugs are what the pharmaceutical companies push on us. Aspirin is a drug. Caffeine is a drug. Belladonna. I was on, what was the name of it? It's that thing that grows, it's a mold that grows on rye, and they mixed it, and it was supposed to be for my migraines. I can't remember what it is now. But I'm getting off track. Pharmaceuticals are bad. Okay? Yes, I'm dependent on my morphine because my pain levels are so high. If you felt what I feel, you would know. And like, just sitting here, I am getting worn out. I'm getting more and more tired by the minute. So I'm going to cut this off here in an hour. I hope I've given everybody some food for thought. And that if you are taking pharmaceuticals, a simple Google search of, how does Paxil react with cannabis or hemp? Google, that's it. Or Bing, whatever your search engine you use. Google is my favorite. I never used Bing. But, the phenobarbital, pregabalin, Prestige, propofol, Seroquel, Reglan, Risperdal, and ADHD drugs, anti-epileptic drugs, anti-seizure drugs. Cannabis and cannabinoids are safer, taken by themselves. And things like painkillers, they potentiate the effects. So you can possibly reduce your opiate intake, saving your liver, saving your body, and cannabis helps clean your liver so morphine doesn't accumulate. That's why my hep C went away. It cleaned my liver out. Rick Simpson oil, heavy doses. $65 for a 1 gram syringe at the dispensary. But just a little half grain of rice. Just a half a grain of rice size daily. Kills cancers. Cleans the liver. Helps control the blood sugar. Helps work as a blood thinner when you need it. And it potentially can harm the pharmaceutical industries. And that's why they push these new drugs. Because they're trying to beat cannabis. And they're trying to keep cannabis down. Now, even the AMA now is not like they were in 1937. In 1937, the AMA told Harry Anslinger cannabis prohibition is the wrongest thing that he could do. And he did it anyway. When the American Medical Association said this has been on the pharmacopoeia for over 100 years, it needs to stay there, he didn't care. And like I said, he blamed low-life Mexicans and people of color, and he created propaganda shit like reefer madness, just bullshit. All because he hated. Okay? It was all driven by hate and ignorance. And we have to get by that. We have to put pharmaceutical companies in their place. Tell them to stop making these poisons. Okay? Most of the time, these things are being created and they're being pushed by the CEOs and the people at the top of the corporate ladder that are getting $1 million bonuses yearly for pushing these poisons on us that kill us. What was it on Pharma Death Clock? Just medical alone? I want to look at that again. Okay, Pharma Death Clock again. Let's go back to that really quick. Because, like I said, chemotherapy, almost 18 million people. Almost 1.1 million people per year. Iatrogenic deaths, which is misdiagnosing, mismedicating, wrongful actions by the doctors and medical personnel. 14 million people in 17 years. Hospital errors alone. People getting the wrong drug. 7.8 million in 17 years. Bed sores, 2 million in 17 years. 2 million people died due to bed sores. And what happens is it's because they're in vegetative states or something, or they can't move, and they need somebody to come in and change their linen and move them around and keep them from getting bed sores. But they don't. Because how else can almost 2 million people die from it? Hospital malnutrition is a whole separate subject here, with almost 2 million deaths in 17 years. Adverse drug reactions. This is not anything to do with cannabis on this death clock. 1.9 million in 17 years. Okay? It's almost 1 to 200,000 people yearly. Medical error. So this is not the iatrogenic hospital errors. This is straight out and out just medical error. 1.7 million. It's 100,000 people a year. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors account for almost 800,000 deaths. Surgery related, 565,000. Superbugs, 406,000. Prescription drugs, 402. Opioid pain relievers is only 286,000 in 17 years. Where's the opioid epidemic? If we had an opioid epidemic, it would be up here with chemotherapy. The epidemic is big pharma and chemotherapy. There's your epidemic. Okay, Jeff Sessions, asshole. That's your epidemic. It is not opiates or opioids. It's chemotherapy, doctor errors, hospital errors, misdiagnosis, misprescribed. It's ridiculous. It's beyond insane for us to allow this to keep going on. And Senator Booker's bill, the Marijuana Justice Act, okay, will bring justice. It will get people out of jail. It'll put correctional corporations of America on notice too, that they stop. Oh, I have something in my gallery. They need to stop pushing these drugs on us. That's something I wanted to find. Hang tight. Okay, here's a nice little thing I found. Arrested. Marijuana possessions. 609,423. All violent crimes combined, 480,000. Marijuana possession, 600,000. All violent crimes under 500,000. And these crimes are rape, 17,000. Aggravated assault, 360,000. Murder and non-negligent manslaughter, 10,000. And robbery, 95,000. Almost 200,000 people more are arrested for marijuana possession than all violent crimes combined. And I say that Big Pharma itself is committing violent crimes. These are violent. These pills that make you sick. Because they're supposed to, okay, if you've got psoriasis, you're supposed to take this drug. And it can give you tuberculosis or send you into a diabetic coma when you're not even a diabetic. Insanity. It's insane that more people are arrested just for pot than violent crimes. And they tell us there's an epidemic and that marijuana is a bad drug and it doesn't kill anybody. All these violent crimes include deaths. Cannabis has not been linked to any kind of death, ever. Even for people taking blood thinners. My new friend that's having blood thinner issues, I believe that hemp would be a better alternative as it is, or if they at least drop the Plavix and add hemp oil and see what makes things better. And especially when this person already has thin blood to begin with. They really shouldn't be on the Plavix. And the blood thinning properties of CBD, hemp oil, is not as bad as the Plavix. The Plavix has all sorts of other things that it can cause bleed outs. Because all the drugs Big Pharma puts out can actually give you the disease you're trying to cure. It just adds to it. Okay? Or if you're starting to get it cured with other things, and they say, let's try this medicine now. This is a new thing that came out. Trust this. Trust this. Doctors like that are getting kickbacks or something from the pharmaceutical industry. Push these drugs. Push these drugs. Here's free samples. Get these out. Throw these down people's throats. That's what happened with me with psych meds. I did not, in a whole year, I did not pay for any of my psych meds. Everything she gave me were samples. I would leave there with a bag full of sample packets of, 6 pills in this pack, 6 pills in this pack. Okay? And all these were new drugs on the market that she was being probably leveraged into pushing on people. And she was using them on me. And I lost 18 months. I'm still trying to get memory back from that. Okay, and cannabis is helping me recover my lost memories, just like it will for Alzheimer's patients. All in all, cannabis good, Big Pharma bad. Big Pharma used to be good, okay? It started with aspirin in the 1800s, okay? Now we're up here to chemotherapy and radiation poisons that are totally unnecessary and has a 70% attrition rate, whereas cannabis has a completely opposite. Cannabis saves 70% of cancer patients, where chemo and Big Pharma kill 70%. It's supposed to kill the cancer, not the patient. Okay? And then what happens after you're gone? Your family is stuck with hundreds of thousands of dollars in hospital bills for the poisons that were pumped into you knowingly that they could kill you. And knowingly that they pushed these chemotherapy drugs on cancers that it has been proven to be unaffected by. Why did they push the drug? Money. Money. Oh my God, I can't buy my yacht. I need to put my kids through college. Take this. Will it cure my cancer? No, but we hope it'll put it in remission. Like I've said before, we go to our doctors, hospitals, health professionals, seeking health, seeking well-being, peace of mind, peace of body, homeostasis. That's what we go to the doctor for. We should not have to be putting our heads down on the chopping block and hoping that the guy with the axe misses. Because that's what chemotherapy is. You're putting your head on the chopping block and you hope that the guy, the drug, is having a bad day and misses you. Because too many people have died. 1.6 major cities, the 6 biggest cities in the United States, from New York to Phoenix, Arizona, 18 million people have been killed through chemotherapy alone in 17 years. 1.1 to 1.2 million people yearly. That is wrong. It is evil, vile, dangerous, uncalled for, unacceptable. So, let me close this out as I just keep going on and on and on. Too many people are being arrested for pot that shouldn't. And I'm not going to get into Second Amendment gun control laws and this new thing that they just did in Oregon. Some governor is initiating a confiscation plan for guns because this one guy stood up and said it'll prevent veterans' suicides. Such a high and noble purpose. Bullshit. If a person wants to check out, they don't need a gun. They can take the pharmaceuticals that you're pushing on them. Okay? They can just overdose on those. They can hang themselves and cut their wrists. What are you going to do? Go to their home and take their guns and their knives? No. They push drugs on these on PTSD vets that makes it worse and makes them feel bad. And then they want to go and take their gun away? It's just bullshit. They're using bullshit and they're using flawed data, just like our Attorney General. He was arguing in 2016 using 2014 numbers. He was not using up-to-date shit. Why? Because they did not suit his purpose. Which his purpose is to be the anti-weed Nazi drug czar. And it's wrong. And it needs to be stopped. The Marijuana Justice Act will put the DEA, Department of Justice, and Jeff Sessions in their place. And put Big Pharma on notice. And if we start growing industrial hemp, we can put the oil OPEC on notice that we're going to be oil independent through the utilization of hemp. Hemp replenishes the soil. It does not leach poisons into the groundwater. It emits 4 times the oxygen acre by acre of trees. It produces 4 times the fiber of cotton. No, 8 times the fiber of cotton. 4 times the wood pulp of trees. 1 acre of hemp is worth 4 acres of trees in just about everything. And when it comes to cotton, cotton poisons the earth. Hemp grows over and over and over again, and it keeps fertilizing the next crop. It puts nutrients into the ground. Whereas cotton, 2 crops, then they have to plant something else to re-nutrient the ground. That, again, is another definition of insanity. Okay? And there's a glut of cotton on the market. They can't sell it all. So that's why they've had bales sitting on the side of the roads here for months at a time. Okay? It's just ridiculous. Hemp has the ability to clean. They planted it around Chernobyl. Remember Chernobyl? Big meltdown at the nuclear plant? Like 150 square miles around Chernobyl. Plants, animals did not. They were getting sick, birth defects and shit like that. They planted hemp. And in a matter of just a few years, it replenished the soil. It took the radiation out of the ground and the air. And the plant, the flora and fauna are thriving. This is after a nuclear accident where normally they would say, well, it's got a half-life of 200 years, which means it'll be there for 400 years. Hemp took it away in a matter of a few years. Mr. President, Mr. Department of Justice, think about that. Hemp is jobs, revenue, money, and it's a green crop that will cement your name in the history books if you just pass this law. Get cannabis and hemp off the schedule of narcotics, grow industrial hemp, utilize hemp medicines, utilize cannabis as a medicine, and people will thrive. People will vote for you for your next term. I don't think people are going to vote for Doug Ducey next term as governor. Not after he shot down the hemp bill. It's such bullshit. It should not be happening. We should not have to fight the government to utilize a plant that has been here for millennia and has been proven to be safe for all those years and proven to be the best industrial thing that could ever come out of the earth. Okay? We can save cement. Okay? There's a limited amount of cement we can find in the ground. And just like there's coal and oil, eventually, they're pumping water in now to force the oil out because the wells are going low. Okay? Eventually, we will run out of oil. And by the time we've run out of oil, we will have completely poisoned the atmosphere around the earth. Okay? You want to talk about ozone holes in the ozone layer and shit like that? Plant hemp and cannabis. Because cannabis breathes just like the hemp does. 4 times the oxygen as trees. Okay? Just that cannabis is medicinal. Hemp is both medicinal and industrial. So, help push the petition for the Marijuana Justice Act because we need this justice. We need to save lives. Okay? Big Pharma does not care about lives. They do not care about the people anymore. It isn't about the patients. It is not about serving the public anymore. It's about serving themselves and making money. Why else do they make these simple little poisons and charge you $10,000 a bottle every week or every month? You go to the hospital for this bottle of poison that makes you puke and lose your teeth and your hair and your vision goes out. You can't pee right, you can't shit right, you feel like crap, and you still have the cancer. Even if it goes into remission, it's still there. Cannabis oil and hemp oil have been found to do everything that Big Pharma's drugs claim to do. And that's just it. It's just a claim. And that's why they'll only tell you remission when you go to the cancer industry. They can't even promise remission. They will never say, I promise you it'll be remission, or I'll promise you it'll be cured. They can't say that. They're not allowed to. Why? Because then you can sue them. See? That's their back door. That's their escape hatch. It may put it into remission. No. We have the cure for cancer. We need to legalize the cure for cancer. So, 1 minute, an hour 18 already. Peace, love, truth, and happiness, people. It ain't all about being hippie stoners. It's about healing the body, the mind, the soul, the aura, the earth as a whole can benefit from cannabis and hemp. Less fossil fuels, less pollution, less ozone problems, okay? We don't, because we're still not finding any planets in the Goldilocks zone that might be inhabited, and it'll take centuries to get there anyway, unless you can really get traveling at light speed like Star Trek and go. I don't foresee it in the near future. So, we have to live on this planet. And we have to try to thrive on this planet. Having drugs pushed on us that make us feel sicker is not the definition of thriving. It's the definition of insanity. So, support the Marijuana Justice Act. Sign and share my petition wherever you find it. Twitter, Instagram, Google+, Facebook. Okay, I need to take another morphine and start smoking some serious weed here to get my pain levels in control because I'm still like this. So, peace out, everybody. Free the Cannabis family from the prison of ignorance and support Cory Booker and the Marijuana Justice Act. Thank you.